Alrighty. Alright. So it looks like my mic is working. I just gotta make sure everything else is working. Let's see, Twitch. Alright. Looks like Twitch is online. That's good. Alright. And the only other thing I need to check is Facebook. For some reason, Facebook isn't. Let's see. Personal page. Okay. Looks like I'm online on Twitch, I believe. And forward. Let's see. Alright, YouTube says it's sending data. Let's see. Alright, looks like Facebook is good to go, and now I'm just waiting on Twitch. Looks like my mic is working, so I'm just waiting for this project to load. Cool. This is the error that I got here. That's fine. Alright, and it looks like we are in business here. Let me just once again check to see if Twitch is online. It says it's sending. What that means it is going to start sending the data very soon. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So in the last video, and I couldn't get Facebook to work for some reason, but in the last video, basically we got all this percussion here mapped out. So got a couple of different loops, like drum loops and percussion, and kind of the main structure of the song down, including some processing. So maybe the best way to do it is I'll just start here at the breakdown, and you can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like here, what we're working with. In fact, yeah. Make sure that's the right volume. And it's nice, we're live on Twitch as well. Oops. Let's start back here. So that's kind of the idea for the breakdown. Of course, once the drop comes in, I don't want to have this keep playing because right now it's pretty repetitive. So I think the next thing I want to do is go through and get the effects laid out for the entire track. And I already have buses set up for this, so if I go ahead and close all of these things, that's kind of where this would be. And once again, I like using like 3 different crash cymbals and at least 3 sweeps and different risers and stuff. And really the big part is going to be when it comes up here in bar 33, right when the sub comes in. That's going to be a big kind of obvious place where we're going to want to have a lot of effects, a lot of things going on, and then of course the drop here at bar 153. And I can just tell you, like, those things are going to make a huge difference because right now it sounds very static, and this is one of the ways you can really keep things really interesting throughout your track is by adding these effects and kind of atmospheres and keeping things evolving. I know one of the things I said last time was, always trying to make sure that no bar is the same, or definitely not every 8 bars. Something needs to be coming in, something needs to be changing. You don't want to have things that are boring. So that's kind of one of the ways to do that is these effects can make a big difference. I like using a lot of white noise. In fact, I even have a white noise channel set up here, but we'll see if I end up using it or not. Sometimes I just end up not using it. And another awesome thing that we have here is a sidechain amount for the FX bus. So this is something we can play around with as well and kind of automate that as things go on. So next episode what I'm going to do is just kind of find some stuff. And usually, once again, it's good to find things from different packs or even make your own if you want to. Although you don't necessarily have to always do that, just so that you have something a little bit different and you're not just, it doesn't sound like everything came out of one sample pack. Okay, that's actually really nice. I really like that. Let's see, and basically I'm checking right now to make sure there's no reverb or anything on it. And let's go back here. And right now I can tell that's way too loud, so let's turn that down. And another thing I may do is put a little LFO tool on here. This is such a long effect, it almost feels like a white noise kind of effect. So I do want this to sidechain, especially if things happen as things are going kind of later on. And of course, we can automate this amount if we want to. Actually, I'm putting this on the bus, but I'm actually going to move this to just this channel, and I'm going to disable it on the bus because this crash. What I should explain is this crash is routed to the crash bus, which is then of course routed to the master. So this would mean if I use any of these other crash channels, they may not necessarily have this LFO tool on there, so it wouldn't be sidechaining. So this is kind of what it would sound like. And that's sounding pretty good. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. I think it's a little bit much. That's pretty nice too. Of course, we don't have any mid bass going on here quite yet. And actually, another thing I may do just starting out is I may start with the percussion high pass a little bit, and I may turn up the resonance to kind of sort of accentuate that. So if we get a listen. And actually, I may have that come in for like 16 bars. So bring that in, and of course, we're going to want the resonance up as it's sweeping down. This is just kind of a nice thing you can do to kind of give it a little bit of extra movement. So that'd be another good place for a crash right there at bar 8, or bar 9, sorry. I'm going to duplicate that over here. So this is kind of when the kick drops out, and it'll kind of be a bunch of risers and other sorts of things going in here as it kind of builds up to this. And you can see I already faded the percussion bus low pass out, right, and then when the kick comes in. Might be a little loud still. I don't know, maybe not. That's pretty nice. I'm going to start with this. This is a Cashmere Suite from the Cashmere 2-pack. One of the things I like doing, I like normalizing all these samples. That way, if I'm putting multiple samples on the same audio track, and these are all audio tracks. These aren't like the standard playlist tracks. That way, you don't have to go in and adjust the volume of each sample. You can just kind of use this master and know that they're going to generally be in sort of the same ballpark volume-wise as long as they're normalized. There might be a little bit too much low mids, but really right here I'm just trying to get an idea. Something like this would be perfect kind of for this sort of area, in fact. I don't actually like the fall part of that. I think I'm just going to keep this. And one of the things that I could use, I'm actually going to move this to a different channel, is just a little bit of reverb. I think that'll help it sit in the mix a little bit better. I'm actually going to grab this guy as well. Okay, just put that there. Cool. And of course, now we're going to want some other crashes and things. Again, just kind of find random. That's very nice. Put that over here. So it starts. So again, quite a bit of low mid in this sound. So you hear bar 17, that's when the open hat comes in. Let's see. That's pretty nice. I think I'm going to use this one. And I might put it on the same one because I think the processing here is fine. Once again, I'm going to normalize this. I'm actually not going to time stretch it. There's no reason to do that. Actually, this was set to the master tempo anyway. That's kind of nice for a reverse crash, actually. That's probably wondering why I put that there. It's supposed to be bar 17. And then I like having these reverse crashes as well. Some of these are pretty nice. Something like this. I'm going to put this on channel 4. And one of the reasons I like having this on its own channel is these reverse crashes, specifically these dry ones, definitely want to have a bunch of reverb on there to help it. So I'm actually going to steal this Arts Acoustic Reverb, and I'm going to put it directly on here. And since this was a send, the drive's all the way down, so we want to go ahead and turn this to 0. Good, and the wet's up. And with some of these, sometimes you want the wet to be more than the dry, so take a listen to this. So a lot of times with these crashes, you'll have the initial transient of the sound. So when you're taking a crash and when you're reversing it, you often don't want the transient. So I find it to be a lot smoother when we go ahead and take that out. In fact, I might take a little bit more out even. And sometimes it helps to like pitch these around. You can pitch up or down, especially if you're using the same sample that you're using as a forward crash, which I'm not really doing. There's some weird, like... I wonder why there's that weird kind of clicking noise. Part of me thinks this might be a DC offset term, which you would think that would be done... Okay. Still there. For whatever reason, that is really bizarre. I wonder if I cut it off before. Yeah, I think that's better. I think I'm just going to take up the low end anyway. Probably something I would have done no matter what. And that sounded pretty good, so let's see that in context. And I may actually turn the wet down a little bit. This is a little overpowering. It's nice, maybe a little bit too much high end. Let's see that. So this FX plus sidechain is what's really doing it, and I'm going to turn that down. I actually like the way that sounds. I think those both sound pretty cool. I don't even think I got these. Maybe I did. I don't know if these are the ones that I have. Oh no, so I do own these. Okay, so I found these before. Here are some other random. I like the way that sounded too. So let's. Nice thing is I can just drag these into the project. Let me go ahead and. So again, way too much high end on this guy. I like this to be on this channel, which I don't think. Oh, it is 60. Cut the top end off a little bit. I wish they actually tell you the frequency here that you're cutting it by. I think that would be a lot easier to work with. Just so you know, and that's actually one of the big problems with FL's automation system is you have these clips, but it's just 0 to 100%. So if you're automating like filter cutoffs or things like that, you don't actually know what frequency you're doing it. And that can be a good thing because then it forces you to use your ear when you're producing it. But at the same time, it can be kind of annoying. So not the biggest fan of the way they do that, but it's okay. FL is great in a lot of other ways. I borrowed this crash again of R25, and I like the way this actually sounded here. That is not a crash. Let's see. And then that's actually pretty nice. So that kind of builds in, and then we're gonna have like a synth riser here. So I already have this kind of sound, but I may use something different. And I think we decided last time on D major or B minor. And I kind of changed my mind. I thought we wanted to have it in the key of B, but when I heard the outro, I thought that didn't sound as good. So we're gonna stick with D. So I'm gonna call this riser 1, and I'm just gonna make a channel for it. And I'm gonna put that, where is it? Here. So that's when this guy's gonna start. And I'm actually going to modify this sound a little bit. This is a nice sound, and it's probably perfect, especially if you're doing like sort of like a arpeggiated sort of riser sound. But I think I'm actually going to play around with that. And then the only thing is, and why is it not here? Usually there's like usually when I make this like to be a riser like pitch knob, but apparently I didn't do that. Well, that's okay. Maybe I didn't do it because different synths may use different sort of pitch wheel things, but now's the perfect time to do that. So I'm actually just going to select this part, so it's just going to make the automation clip in this area. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. Pitch range is set to 12. And I'm just going to automate this pitch bend. In fact, if I was going to do this globally, I would just automate, I think, MIDI CC 0, or whichever one is pitch control. But for now, I'll just automate this one directly because I like the way the sound is. It just needs a little bit of work. So as you notice, this is a very plucky sound. So that's what you would use this sound for, but I'm actually thinking about just opening this up, and let's see. Maybe. First of all, it's really loud, so I gotta turn this down. And I might slowly increase the side chain when it gets to, when it gets to this point, because I think That's going to be that effect that we need, and then I may drop it back down. And once again, this is a common trick, just increasing the high pass cutoff. And we're definitely going to want some other sort of riser. I may even bring this reverse crash in, and then some sort of like white noise kind of thing. Yeah, that's like perfect. Like something like that, just kind of towards the end to sort of smooth over this transition. And that is most likely going to be too loud. And I actually like the idea of having some of these kind of end maybe a little bit early. And one of the ways, another thing we can do is just bring this pitch down kind of towards the end. Checking the chat just to make sure. Feel free to, like, if you guys have any suggestions or any questions, feel free to just put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to respond. I think one of the things I might try. Oh, it was the high pass. That's what I think I want to bring down, the high pass cutoff. Because we're kind of not hearing this. Because what I'm doing here is like the pitch is going to go up, and then the last sort of beat, it's going to like kind of come back down. So basically, is what I'm going to do is I want to bring the cutoff down too, because this actually starts at like a pretty low note. You can hear it like, well, back here. Oh, my MIDI keyboard's not working. Go ahead and. Weird. Anyway, not a big deal. I can just use my physical keyboard. I'll just turn it back on, turn it on, and turn it off again. See if that helps it. And I may play with this slope a little bit. And I know doing things out of order, but I think at this time it would be a good time to start working on a mid bass. That mid bass will be here in the intro. You notice the sub is not, but that'll be kind of here. And then once bar 33 starts, that's really going to layer on top of the sub bass and help fill out the mid range. I a lot of times just try to do the effects for the whole track first, and then kind of from there like keep going. But I think this might be a better way to do it. Although the one thing I think I will do is I will move this over and play around with this later. Once again, we don't have any really reverse sweeps or anything like that yet, so that'll be coming. And let's go ahead and work on that mid bass now. I want to kind of get more of an idea of what this is going to sound like. So for the first sound, and I don't want to get too deep in the woods here in sound design right now. I think, not that it's boring, it's just like a lot of time. Okay, good, the keyboard's working now. And so maybe I'll just try to find some sound that works and tweak it a little bit. So I'm really trying to find something that's like very like, I guess kind of plucky, but also kind of aggressive and has kind of a different sound to it. That's your stand-in rather than your standard like super saw-y, mid-bassy sound. Like I noticed if you listen to like any photographer's tracks, you'll hear like, it's almost like it has a phaser on it or some sort of like vocal filter, and I really like the way that sounds. I mean, it's just super driving. Let's see. It's all kind of progressive soundy thing. That one's something a little bit more driving. I think without the delay, this would actually be pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one just for now and work on making a pattern for this. So once again, we're in the key of D major. So I'm going to use that root note D just for the intro and outro. And then of course, this is going to need to follow the chord progression later on. But for now, it's kind of nice to just work on the sounds. It's too low, actually. I'm just trying to do something random. Once again, a little too loud. Probably should have some sidechain on here too, which may, oh, it's already there, but it's turned off. And I think that's probably a little bit too much. So let's go ahead and get that sidechain level just right here, down to a more manageable area. And you'll notice too that there's just way too much bass in this sound. This is a great sound for kind of the main body, but of course we're going to want to layer it because that is just, it's a little too deep and it doesn't have the attack. And you'll notice a lot of uplifting tracks, like the main bass that isn't your sub bass is going to have a lot more sort of high end and mid range rather than even low end. So it's not even necessarily a true bass. In fact, a lot of times you're layering it with white noise and things to make it, to really bring out that mid and high, just so it's like very punchy and clicky. And just to change things up a little bit. Go ahead and play around with these notes. Cool, and then I'm just going to go ahead and copy this guy over, and I'll probably come back to this in a little bit, but let's go ahead and get a different sound. One thing that bothers me about FL2 for some reason, oh good, okay, sometimes by default this allow threaded processing is off on Spire, and it was really causing Spire to chew up my CPU like a lot, and I just thought I needed like a new computer. And I went to the Apple store and we were trying to figure this out, and eventually we figured out Logic and Ableton Live don't have a problem with it, so it ended up being an FL thing. Then I figured out it wasn't necessarily an FL thing, it was just this threaded processing thing, which is really nice. And by really nice, I mean it's nice that it's not that, you know, my computer can't handle a couple instances of Spire. It's that, you know, that it needs to be multi-threaded. And one of the things you'll notice when you're, just kind of for an aside, when you're getting a music or a computer for music production, your single core performance is often a lot more important than multi-core performance anyway, because you're just having to do so many things in serial. You know, your tracks, yeah, some of them can be computed in parallel, but a lot of times if they're going through the same bus, then they have to be done in serial so that they have to wait till all the samples come to the buffer comes to the bus, and the bus can process them. So that's why that single core performance is so important. I think this is actually kind of a neat, very cool, very unique sound, and I'm gonna probably work with this at least for now. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the whatever LFO they're using for this feedback thing. Mark 1. Is it on a different page? Oh, it must be a filter cutoff, actually. I guess they're kind of both doing the same thing. No? Oh, here it is. So basically I want this to be kind of running in the background so each note kind of gets a different sound, but I like the attack of this a lot. And one of the things I may actually do is to give it even more attack, I might route, oh, they already did that. I was going to say I may route the envelopes to the pitch and just kind of For some reason, this attack actually is a lot more without this pitch, causing it to go down. So I may just leave it the way that is now. And I may start by copying this pattern over and layering it. I'm going to scoop out a lot of lows. And before I go too much further, I may actually start putting delay on this bass bus, just so we can kind of hear what it sounds like with this delay, because of course we're going to want to fill in those gaps, even though the cake's hitting there. So maybe a nice ping pong delay, and I may play around with this time, whether we want 3 to 4, like dotted eighth notes, or just straight up eighth notes. Pretty loud, quite a bit of feedback. And before I get too much further, I may put a mag EQ4 here on this, this bass channel just to boost the highs, bring those out. For some reason, the sub volume. Okay, so that's actually sounding pretty good. I may go back here, work on the bass, and then I'll get it, layer it here with the sub progression, and we'll go ahead and make sure it's sitting well in the mix with everything else. So both of these sounds are actually very low heavy, which is okay. I think I definitely want to get some more that are quite a bit higher in frequency, just to kind of fill out the spectrum there. So once again, these are both really kind of deep sounds. My dog just made a really funny noise. Anyway, so let's go ahead and just see what else we can use. Yeah, this is more like it. This D may also be just kind of a tricky note to work with. In fact, for a sub frequency, this is a very challenging one because E I generally find to be the lowest usable sub note you can use, just because of the way the frequencies turn out. I think E, someone should correct me on this, I feel like it's like around it's definitely not 35 hertz. It may be something like 40 or something a little bit lower. So it's when you're in D, you're even lower than that. So most systems that you're playing at, even like a lot of club systems, unless they're like really really nice, 40 or a little bit under 40 hertz is going to be a little bit challenging. I mean, that's asking a lot out of the system. So I think this D would be more like around 30 something. So that's a tricky note to work with for a sub frequency. But I thought the main lead kind of ended up working out great for this. So let's keep going here, and I might change the pattern up. So I actually like this an octave lower, but FL kind of lets you see, like, otherwise I'd be drawing the notes down here, and that would bother me. So I can basically is what I'm doing is I'm saying how do I describe this? The main like pitch that I'm trying to get it to use is an octave lower. So by setting this to be the root note, it's actually going to be transposing all these an octave down. And let's just start with that for now. And I do want to have this go across. Let's see if this is going to work. Cool. Oops. Let's go ahead and what happened here? And go ahead and copy these over. So I'm going to need this to be higher just to fill in that range. Maybe there is a little bit too much delay on here. Wasn't hearing it as much because of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Wasn't hearing as much, I think, because the low frequencies it wasn't affecting as much. And this is a very, very, very sort of basic sound, so let me try to beef this up a little bit. I'm not hearing the sine wave at all, so I might use sort of a...
Oh no, I think it's here. I can't do that. Oh, sorry. I feel like my life right now is just like going from small animal to large animal. Yeah.
So I'm finding that, increasing that pitch just a little bit of attack. It's almost, imperceptible here, but you'll definitely hear it when the track comes in. It adds quite a bit of attack to the sound. So So the D I'm actually using for the sub bass is at 75 hertz. That doesn't seem right. I always thought C was around like 100. Oh no, that's not right either, because A is like 55, so, or 54. So I think that 75 is actually probably okay. It's still probably a little on the higher end than you'd want it, but luckily when the progression actually starts going, it changes things around quite a bit. And maybe now would be a good time to do a little bit of compression. You hear that in the background, that dog's playing with the squeaky toy. So basically what this compressor is doing, I have it set to pretty slow attack. And so what I wanted to do is I really wanted to let the initial transient or punch of the sound come through, and then kind of deal with the main sustaining part later. And I'm just checking the chat. Once in a while, it looks like we got some people watching, but no comments so far, at least not that I'm aware of. Maybe it just doesn't work with Facebook, which that would suck if people are like messaging me on Facebook. And
they're so good though. I've been doing it like slowly.
I may just keep this open.
No, I mean, like they never will go bad. It's true. So I mean.
Oh, the problem with that is I can hear myself, and that's really weird because it's like delayed. Anyway, I'm trying to. I don't know how I could do that. Maybe I could just open it back up and just have it muted. I'm sorry. Just trying to. Go back here to my. Okay, cool. We actually have people. Okay, cool. We actually have a bunch of people watching and some comments and stuff. So I'm just gonna keep this open, keep this muted. That way, yeah, people can see. So yeah, let's go back. So we have this compressor. We have a little bit of delay. I might leave it at this for now. Once again, we're gonna have to reset these compressor settings once once I add this fourth mid bass, which is gonna add volume. So I probably shouldn't have done that. Kind of stupid, kind of bonehead move, but oh well. And maybe I'll play around with whatever tone this is, because this is nice, but it's, I don't know if it's exactly the sound that I'm looking for. So let's add one more bass line. This is actually, I think these are all sounding pretty nice together, but I definitely want to get another like high-end, like higher frequency bass line to kind of work with the rest of this. It's a pretty nice sound. Turn off the delay and turn off the arpeggiator here. Let's see. I was thinking about using, actually with this phaser. liking the way that valve filter sound. In fact, I use this in another one of my tracks with the bass line. I thought it sounded pretty nice, and I don't use it as much as I should. So you can do something like that, or just straight 8s. Just something a little different. Like, I don't know what what I'm doing here, but I think that sounds pretty cool. Maybe want to add a little bit more tap to that. So envelope 2 is not doing anything. I think all oscillating pitch. Almost sounds like a jaw harp, which I kind of like. I mean, it's in the lower range, but like, you know, the jaw harps, you know, the kind of bouncy sounding thing they always play like when people are bouncing around in movies. So I'm finding this compressor really is gluing things together, and I'm actually happy it didn't, I guess, overblow it. Maybe because I was adjusting some of the waves on this third mid bass. But usually I'm aiming for about 2 decibels of gain reduction, 2 dB at full scale. So that's pretty good. Pretty good amount of reduction there. I think that's about right. Letting the transients come through. The only thing here is because I'm playing notes on the first 16th note of every bar, I need to use the LFO tool just to allow things to sidechain with the kick. If you hear it in context. Well, shit. In context here. I think it's sounding pretty good and it's adding movement, but the problem is we need to make sure it's sidechaining to give the kick room there. And where's the, here it is. And I'm thinking about doing a little bit of parallel, almost like distortion or compression here, just to kind of fatten things up a little bit. Probably want to do this before the compressor. Actually, what I may use fat filter set. pretty nice. I may try to sequence this here at the beginning of the song. So let's go ahead and get the high pass here. And we'll probably have this coming in for the first at least 16 bars. Let's add some resonance here. So just kind of adding a little bit of attack there. Nothing too major. Cool. And yeah, let's keep going. Cool. So yeah, basically I was adding a little bit of white noise and a couple sawtooth waves here, which of course have every single harmonic in the spectrum, just to kind of really fatten up the sound and really fatten up the attack, the transient there. So if you notice here, sorry, what I should go back and mention is this decay here set so small. So basically it's just clipping off the beginning. In fact, so that's all that part of the sound is doing, and you can hear it kind of making a difference in the mix, just kind of pushing the transient through. And I think that's honestly what it needed, in my opinion, to really cut through, especially in the high end. Sound in this loop that I'm not a huge fan of now.
And like, I felt bad. I was like, wow, like, this is like really, I'm sorry. Like, I just like, I can't like keep on top of it like that. And so I was like, okay, we're like, moving with Chris, like,
think that's a little bit better, so let's go ahead and move that. Still having the rhythm that I wanted, but just not overpowering the clap there. And one of the things I do want to do is I do want to kind of make the end notes of some of these a little bit different. First of all, one of the things I want to do is bring this up and transpose this down just so everything is same octave. It doesn't really matter, but so maybe go down to the C sharp and then up to the F sharp, kind of towards the end. So it would just be these last two sets of notes. So C sharp and then up to the F sharp. Do that with all these guys. Sharp up to the F sharp. I don't know, this may not sound good at all, but just kind of almost like a fill, but keeping things interesting and once again adding a lot of movement. Kind of what it takes sometimes. So the reason it's sounding like that, I don't even know if you can hear it, is the sub needs to do that as well. And I'm actually going to have the F go down because I think that's a better note. And I think what I may also do here is I'm going to make this kick a fill at the end. So definitely the bass line needs to stop like that. And this is when everything will start fading out. So maybe is what I'll do now is at this part of the track, take this kick, cut off, and just kind of start filtering it. Also start fading out the sub bass. So if you remember from the last video, so one of the things that I did is I automated the note volume for the sub bass in the main section, and then somehow got screwed up now, but I'll come look at that later. But here, and probably I'll change the chord progression around here as well, but for now I'm not going to do it. I have this separate automation clip for the note volume, or sorry, for the track volume itself. So I can still be having the notes at the same volume, and then this will just gently fade them out as they're like playing the same volume, so you actually get a smooth fade. So that's why I have like two basically automation clips for the sub bass volume. course, the other thing we want to do here is start fading out the percussion. So of course, one of the things we need is some sort of big FX kick will really help. So maybe, I don't know, maybe take a house sample and yeah, something like that. That's pretty nice. It's gonna be too loud. What did I say? I'm not sure if this is the best sound to have there. Definitely want to have something, but I don't know if that's the one. And you can hear my computer slowly dying. My CPU is maxed out. Don't really know why. Maybe if I increase the buffer size by like even more, that's gonna have. What's that? Just double. Sounds like there's two. That's a better one. Maybe bring in the reverse crash. then it kind of comes up. Always the mistake. It's like when you're DJing, you leave the filter open. So eventually this is going to have to come back up. Cool. Volume's fine. There's no resonance that I'm playing with. Sub volume comes down. It'll eventually have to come back up. So what I'm going to do now is I want to make this bass line follow the main chord progression. So what I'm going to do is take just kind of the standard bass line that I made for the intro, select all these channels, and go to the sub progression and just paste them here. And now we got to make sure they're following what the sub is doing. Just, oh, it was going to be easy. What is this? Anyway. Okay, I think I changed it for the other pattern, but I didn't change it for this guy. So since I did that, I need to actually this. Oops. The heck? That was weird. Let's go ahead and pitch that up. And of course, we need to do that here. Yeah, okay, cool. Now going back over here, now that we have that worked out, we just need to follow the sub. Pretty simple. Probably an easier way to do this, but... Shift these guys down. Luckily, this chord progression is just basically... I think it just repeats after 8 bars anyway. So that's going to make things easy. Once we have this down, it'll just be a simple copy and paste. Cool. I'm just moving everything down first, and then we'll go and adjust the other notes in a second. Cool. Done that.
Oh yeah, so they don't know how to speak human yet.
And then all I need to do now is select it. Oops. I was trying to get this to all copy over here, but I guess that's not going to happen that way. I have to, and, oops, move it over.
And then you're not like in the same nurtured position as you were before. You're trying to create that for someone else.
Right, and everyone's like looking up to you, but really you like also have no idea what's going on. You don't have your own like self.
I think that is just about all of them. There's one more, I believe. There's just one more. Was that all of them? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Pesky. Cool. And then if we take a listen. And it helps if you, once again, open up the filter. It may actually be a little too low, this first one, actually.
So, like, but, it comes with its own problems, but like, at least other kids never talked about
That's probably why the volume wasn't there. Those pads are what's just destroying my CPU. And I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. So this crash was nice. It's a little bit too much high end, I think. We have that kind of effect reverb kit.
How you doing?
Good, good. Ah. And the only thing that's missing here is I need to also automate the cutoff on this. Haven't filled out the leads, haven't even really given those a lot of attention yet. Oh, here it is. Alright, I was like, I thought I made it last time. And another thing I'm going to do right now is copy all this to the buildup, which I haven't done anything with either, but no, that's going to be over here. So I'm going to go ahead and end it at that. I think that's a lot of good progress for today. So today, basically, one of the things I did was, or what we did was, of course, got a little bit more of the structure laid down, filled in the percussion, got a lot of the effects kind of basically laid out across the track to get an idea of how it's going to sound, and at the same time also worked on getting the mid bass there and processed. And I think in the next videos, what I'll probably do is flesh out the intro, outro, and the breakdown. I think in the breakdown, you may want to add like a violin or maybe some pianos or something like that to keep things interesting, more acoustic instruments, and kind of have a very cinematic feel there before getting into the main section, and then maybe make some adjustments to the lead so it's not quite as repetitive for the rest of the track. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.